You know what the craziest thing is about that huge pile of crunchy leaves you're about to throw away? Professional gardeners literally pay money for this kind of thing. I'm serious about this. While most people treat fallen leaves as trash, there's a hidden method of turning them into something valuable. Garden centers sell it for $40 a bag. Today, I'll show you how to do this completely free of charge. Smart gardeners are genuinely happy when autumn comes. You'll learn why trees have been creating perfect soil for millions of years from one simple ingredient: their own fallen leaves. Now I'll tell you how to shorten this process from 3 years to a few months. Take a walk through any forest right now. Dig deeper than the top layers of leaves, and what do you find? This incredible, almost black, sweet-smelling earth, so loose that you could sleep on it. Trees don't need bags of fertilizer. They don't need someone coming in with soil additives. They have been creating their own ideal growing medium for millions of years using only fallen leaves. In the 1980s, scientists from Yale University discovered a surprising fact. The soil in old-growth forests contains 5 times more organic matter than any agricultural soil. All this rich humus formed exclusively from leaf litter. The problem is, if you simply dump leaves on your garden, you'll have to wait 2, maybe 3 years for them to decompose properly. Most people don't have that kind of patience, but nature has created a process that can be significantly sped up. What if I told you there was a way to reduce that time frame to just a few months? That's exactly what we're doing today. This method is called leaf molding, but the name doesn't reflect its true value. Sounds like something to be avoided, right? However, professional gardeners and elite nurseries regard this material as a treasure. The Royal Horticultural Society in the UK has documented that leaf mold is one of the most effective organic amendments for improving the structure of clay soils. The process is so simple, it almost seems like a hoax. Here's what distinguishes it from conventional composting. When you compost, you rely on bacteria, which require warmth, moisture, constant mixing, and a balanced mixture of materials. Leaf mold uses fungi instead of bacteria, and fungi are much less demanding. They don't require heat or mixing. All they need is leaves, a little moisture, and time. The result is superior in water holding capacity to almost any commercial soil additive. Let me walk you through the process step by step, and I promise, if you know how to rake leaves, you can do it. First, collect leaves. Any type will do, but here's a pro tip. Mix them if possible. Oak leaves decompose more slowly but create incredible texture. Maple leaves decompose faster. Mixing them gives you the best of both worlds. Research in temperate forest ecosystems shows that oak leaves contain more lignin, which slows decomposition but improves long-term soil structure. Avoid black walnut and eucalyptus, however. Black walnut leaves contain juglone, a compound that inhibits the growth of many plants. Eucalyptus leaves contain aromatic oils that slow microbial decomposition. In the 18th century, European gardeners were already aware of these differences. Victorian estates maintained special leaf mold plots in shaded woodland areas where leaves were left to decompose for years. This traditional method created a high-quality planting medium long before the advent of industrial fertilizers. Find a corner of your plot, preferably somewhere shaded. Why shade? Because moisture is your friend here, and the sun dries out the material too quickly. Throw the leaves in there, that's the first step. Revolutionary, right? But here's the trick that changes everything. Shred them first if possible. Run a lawnmower over the leaves before stacking them. This breaks them into smaller pieces, dramatically speeding up decomposition. University research shows that shredding leaves increases the surface area of the material tenfold. This allows fungi and microbes to colonize the material much faster. We're talking about cutting the waiting time in half. In the 1990s, agronomists at Cornell University discovered a startling fact. Shredded maple leaves completely converted to humus within 6 months, while whole leaves required 18 months under the same climate conditions. The difference lay solely in the available surface area for fungal activity. So you have shredded leaves in a pile. Now add moisture, not soaking wet but like a wrung-out sponge. That's your goal. If the leaves are already damp from the rain, That's perfect. If they're completely dry, water them with a hose, piling them up. Soil biology research shows that fungi thrive in materials with moisture levels similar to those of a wrung-out sponge. Excess water deprives the oxygen needed for healthy fungal activity. Here's the interesting part. You can fence this pile or leave it open. A simple circle of wire mesh keeps everything neat and retains moisture better. But honestly, I've made leaf mold in both fenced piles and open piles, and both options worked great. The fenced version simply looks neater, if that's your concern. Many historic estates used simple fencing systems precisely because they prevented wind-blown leaves while still allowing for airflow. Now comes the hardest part of the whole process: the weighting. Unlike compost, you don't need to turn this pile. In fact, turning it slows down the process because you disrupt the fungal networks that do all the work. Just leave it alone. Check every few weeks. If the pile seems dry, add water. If you live somewhere with frequent rain, you probably won't need to do anything. Decomposing fungi are incredibly efficient workers. What's really going on in that pile? Those white, thread-like fungal filaments are literally digesting the tough parts of the leaves, the cellulose and lignin that make them tough. Fungi possess specialized enzymes such as lignin peroxidase that break down complex plant polymers. While they're at work, the leaves darken, shrink, and turn into this crumbly, earthy material. In about 6 months, depending on your climate, you'll have usable leaf mold. After a full year, it will be perfect. Dark, rich, with an incredible earthy aroma. Here's what distinguishes leaf mold from compost. It contains fewer nutrients. This may sound like a disadvantage, but stay with me. What it lacks in nitrogen and phosphorus, it makes up for with its superpower: water retention. This material can hold up to 500% of its weight in water. Let that fact sink in. If you have sandy soil that dries out quickly or clay soil that remains waterlogged, leaf mold solves both problems. In the 1970s, soil scientists at Ohio State University conducted a study on the water-retaining properties of various organic amendments. Leaf mold showed results that outperformed peat moss and most commercial soil conditioners. It improves soil structure better than anything I've used. It creates spaces for air and water to move through the soil. It feeds earthworms, which then create even more beneficial activity. Because it decomposes slowly, these benefits last for years, not months. Now let's talk about how to actually use this garden gold once it's ready. Mix it into vegetable beds before planting. Your tomatoes, peppers, and zucchini will develop root systems that will make you wonder if you're a secret gardening genius. Use it as mulch around perennials and shrubs. It suppresses weeds while slowly nourishing the soil beneath. Mix with regular garden soil to create a potting mix. Commercial potting soil is expensive, but mixing leaf mold with garden soil creates a medium that rivals any store-bought one. For sowing seeds, mix leaf mold with a small amount of sand and compost. You've just created a seed-starting mix that costs pennies instead of hundreds of dollars. Horticultural research shows that partially decomposed organic matter is mixed into potting mixes at nurseries to improve aeration. And here's my favorite use: fertilizing lawns. Spread a thin layer over your grass in the fall. It will penetrate, nourishing the soil and improving your lawn without chemicals. Want to speed this process up even more? Here are a few insider tricks. Add a handful of prepared leaf mold or garden soil to the new pile. Essentially, you're inoculating it with fungi, which do the work. It's like sourdough for bread, only for leaves. Spray the pile with settled water from time to time. Chlorinated tap water can slow down fungal activity. Rainwater or dechlorinated water works best. If you're impatient, check the pile after 3 months. Even partially decomposed leaf mold is beneficial. Large pieces make excellent mulch while they're still decomposing. Make several piles, start one in the fall, then another in the spring when you clear away the remaining leaves. In the 19th century, European gardeners maintained a steady supply of leaf mold this way. Location matters more than you think. Facing a north-facing wall or under trees naturally maintains moisture and accelerates decomposition. You can combine materials. Grass clippings mixed with leaves in thin layers add nitrogen and speed up the process. Let's look at common problems because they're bound to arise. Is the pile not decomposing? Check the moisture level. Squeeze a handful of material. If water doesn't drip, it's too dry. If water runs in streams, it's too wet. Adjust accordingly. Strange smell? Leaf mold should smell earthy and pleasant. If it stinks, you have too much moisture and not enough air. Lightly loosen the soil and let it dry out a bit. Are the leaves sticking together? This happens to whole leaves, especially when they're wet. That's why chopping is important. If you didn't chop them up initially, just break up those clumps when you notice them. Not enough space? Make smaller batches in trash bags with holes punched in them for air. Shake them occasionally. This works, although it's slower than open piles. In the 1980s, urban gardeners in Europe widely used the bagging method to create leaf mold in confined spaces. The results were comparable to traditional large piles. Here's the bigger picture and why this is important beyond simply saving money. Every bag of leaves sent to a landfill is a missed opportunity. According to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, more than 30 million tons of yard waste are generated annually. These leaves decompose in landfills and create methane, a greenhouse gas far worse than carbon dioxide. But in your garden, they build soil, sequester carbon, and create a habitat for beneficial organisms. You also break a costly cycle. Garden centers sell soil amendments because people need them. But if you produce your own high-quality material from waste, you'll save money while creating truly better soil than most commercial products. This is gardening the way it was done for centuries, before the fertilizer industry convinced everyone they needed bottles and bags of everything. Industrial fertilizers became commonplace in the 20th century, but before that, gardeners typically relied on natural organic matter. Our grandparents knew this, and now you do too. If this video changed your perception of those leaves in the yard, subscribe to the Earth Gardening channel. We're building a community of gardeners who refuse to believe that great results require big expenses. Leave a comment and tell me what your biggest gardening expenses are. I guarantee we'll find a way to cut them without sacrificing results. And seriously, hit the like button. It helps the video reach more people who need these practical, money-saving tips. Next time you see falling leaves, don't see yard waste. See free soil improvement. See moisture retention. See better yields and healthier plants. See what smart gardeners have always known. According to the National Gardening Association, the average American family spends hundreds of dollars annually on fertilizers and soil amendments. Leaf mold can replace a significant portion of these costs with a superior quality material. Thanks for watching. See you in the next episode.